He was a man of words, a man of passion, and above all, a man who loved the wild. Julian Sands wasn't just an actor, he was an adventurer. While the world knew him for his unforgettable performances on screen, his heart truly belonged to the mountains. To him, nature was more than scenery, it was a sanctuary. Julian Sands had a deep, almost spiritual connection with the outdoors, a passion that defined much of his life outside the spotlight. To many, he was known for the elegant performances in films like A Room with a View and The Killing Fields, but those who knew him well spoke often about his love for the wild, his love for untamed parts of the world, too. Hiking and mountaineering weren't just hobbies for Sands, they were part of his identity. He often described nature as a place of purity and truth, where the distractions of daily life fell away and only the essentials remained. Sands found solace and inspiration in the mountains. He gravitated toward challenging climbs, drawn by both the physical rigor and the meditative quiet that came with being so far removed from civilization. He once remarked that the mountains were, quote unquote, a testing ground, a place where you're forced to confront your limits, mentally and physically. This wasn't about adrenaline or ego for him. It was about family. For Sands, being in nature was about surrendering to something larger than yourself, something timeless and wonderful. In interviews, he spoke with reverence about the landscapes he had explored, from the Alps to the Andes, and often hiked alone, preferring the solitude and introspection that came with solitary treks. He admired the stillness, the vastness, and the raw beauty of the wilderness. It wasn't unusual for him to disappear for days into the backcountry, leaving behind his phone and the trappings of modern life. He called the mountains cathedrals, sacred places that reminded him of life's fragility and wonder. In the end, it was that same love for the high places of the earth that led him to his final journey. But on January 13th, 2023, Julian Sands embarked on a solo hike into the treacherous terrain of Southern California's San Gabriel Mountains, and he never came back. Mount Baldy, a beautiful yet perilous peak known for its unpredictable weather and steep terrain. That day, the mountain was shrouded in ice and snow. Harsh winds battered the ridges, and temperatures plummeted. Julian, an experienced hiker, had faced many such conditions before. But something happened on that mountain, something that cut through experience, strength, and spirit. When Julian didn't return home, concern quickly turned into alarm. Search and rescue teams were dispatched. Helicopters scanned the mountains. Drones buzzed through the valleys. But the weather was relentless. Storm after storm rolled in, grounding flights and burying trails. For days, then weeks, the search continued. But the mountain gave nothing back. No signs, no answers. Julian Sands had vanished into the very wilderness he loved. It wasn't until June, 5 long months later, that hikers stumbled upon human remains in a remote area near Mount Baldy. Days later, they were confirmed to be Julian's. While the exact circumstances of Julian Sands' death may never be fully known, experts and investigators have formed a likely picture of what happened during his final hike. On January 13th, 2023, Sands set out alone to hike Mount Baldy, one of Southern California's most popular but notoriously dangerous peaks, especially in winter. Despite being an experienced hiker and mountaineer, Sands was venturing into a region that had been hit by extreme weather, including heavy snowfall, ice, and sub-zero wind chill. Search and rescue officials familiar with the terrain have noted that conditions on Mount Baldy during the time were exceptionally treacherous. High winds, whiteout storms, and unstable ice made the mountain hazardous even for professionals. Experts believe it's likely that Sands encountered sudden weather changes, potentially disorienting him or causing a fall on steep, icy slopes. The region is riddled with ravines, cliffs, and hidden drop-offs, many of which are completely obscured under layers of snow. His remains were eventually discovered in June 2023 by hikers in a remote area off the trail, where melting snow revealed previously inaccessible ground. Authorities confirmed that no signs of foul play were involved, and his death was ruled as consistent with accidental exposure due to environmental conditions. The distance from popular hiking routes suggested he may have strayed or attempted to take a more challenging path, a risk even seasoned hikers sometimes miscalculate. Rescue teams and mountaineering experts have since reiterated that the conditions on Mount Baldy in winter can rival those of more extreme alpine environments. What happened to Julian Sands appeared to be a tragic convergence of passion, experience, and nature's unpredictability, a stark reminder that even the most seasoned adventurers are not immune to the mountain's silent power. Julian Sands died doing what he loved, surrounded by the raw, indifferent beauty of the world. The mountains he so cherished became both his refuge and his final resting place. The truth is, you're always at the mercy of nature. That's the beauty of it, and the risk.